Gingerdead Man 3 Saturday Night Cleaver was released in 2011. This is directed by William Butler. It's written by Butler and Muffy Boulding, and we have a cast including Jacqui, Paris Wagner, Stephen Michael McLure, and various others. Very good performances, no issues there. It's okay. It's actually okay. It's not amazing. I don't think it's a film that can be taken too seriously, but there are some good aspects, and I think a real effort was made on two counts. One, I think an effort was made to make it a little bit different, to give the narrative a bit more substance than perhaps with the previous two Gingerdead Man films. And I also think there was more of an effort made to maybe allow us as viewers to build up a bit more of an emotional connection with the characters, or at least to go on a bit more of a journey with them. In this film, the Gingerdead Man goes back in time to the 70s, and he's at a disco. And obviously while he's there, he's going to try and kill people. And as a character, I've mentioned this before, I love the design of the Gingerdead Man. I just think he looks absolutely fantastic, and that's absolutely the case here. I do feel like we were given a bit more of a chance with this film to connect with the characters. That's not to say there's any one character I was rooting for to survive. I didn't have a particularly strong emotional response or fear that any of them was going to be killed or be the target of the Gingerdead Man. But I definitely think there was a little bit more building there and connecting with the characters compared with the previous two films, which just gives it a little bit more substance, gives it a little bit more weight, and I appreciate that. That being said, the previous two films are also really good fun. I wouldn't have watched the third one if I didn't enjoy the previous two. But this one just seems like the quality is maybe a little bit better with the writing, with the character writing, with the story writing. It does have its moments of gore. It's very silly fun. And ultimately, I thought it was a decent experience. As I said, or I think I said, it's definitely not a film to take too seriously, but it's generally still well done. And if you like silly horror, if you like something that's a little bit ridiculous, but in a really fun and cheesy way, then I'd say Gingerdead Man 3 is worth watching. If you've seen the previous two films and you really didn't like them, I'd say it's probably not worth watching. As I said, it does seem like a bit of a step up in terms of the narrative and the character writing, but not so much that I'd say, well, if you didn't like the previous two, still check this out. It still very much has a similar feel. But if you thought the other two were okay and you've been on the fence about watching this one, I'd say maybe check it out. It's a very busy film. We have a lot of characters. And if I kind of compare this to the first film, I don't know how many people were in the first film. I can't remember exactly, but it's a lot busier. There's a lot more going on. So in some ways it does feel a little bit different, but not tremendously different. And as a character, the Gingerdead Man is just brilliant. I just really like him as a character. I don't want to meet him. I don't want to find him in a dark alley or anything, but I have to say, as a villain, as a horror antagonist, depending on how you look at it, he's pretty fascinating, and I rather like the character. So Gingerdead Man 3 Saturday Night Cleaver is a pretty decent film, and if you like the first two, give it a go. It's silly, it's funny, it's not necessarily scary, but there are moments where if you're new to horror or you don't really like really scary films, this one might be okay, but it has its moments still. I'm quite happy with it. I wasn't really sure when I first started watching the Gingerdead Man films if I'd make it to the third film, but I've rather enjoyed the experience. I think there is a fourth film, Gingerdead Man versus the Evil Bong. I don't really know if I like the sound of it, but I might check it out at some point. I'm not desperate to. We'll see, maybe further down the line. But for now, I'm pleased to say that actually Gingerdead Man 3 Saturday Night Cleaver is a decent experience. And if you liked the previous two, definitely check it out. If you haven't seen any of them, check out the first film. It might be a bit of an acquired taste. I don't think it's a film that will appeal to everybody. I don't think they're films that I could watch at any point. I feel like I need to be in a certain mood or looking for a certain kind of horror film. But needless to say, when watching this, that is the mood I was in, and it worked quite well. So, all things considered, Gingerdead Man 3 is not a bad film. I quite enjoyed it, and I'm happy to recommend it.